On the outskirts of a small town named Maplewood, where life moved at a steady rhythm and sunsets painted the sky in gold, lived a restless boy named Jake Miller. Jake wasn't lazy, far from it. He just never seemed to have enough time. His days rushed past him like a fast-forwarded movie, and no matter how hard he tried, there was never enough time to finish his video games, learn new skateboard tricks, or even squeeze in one more episode of his favorite show before bedtime. "If only I had more time," he often sighed, watching the clock tick away like a mischievous thief stealing his fun. Jake was wandering through town when he spotted something odd, a tiny antique shop squeezed between a pizza place and a toy store. It wasn't there yesterday. The sign above the door read, "Tick-tock treasures, time is priceless." Curiosity pulled him inside. The air smelled of old books and something strange, like a storm that hadn't arrived yet. The shelves were cluttered with pocket watches, hourglasses, and clocks that didn't quite tick in sync. In the middle of it all, behind a mahogany counter, stood an old man with silver hair and a bow tie, adjusting the gears of a peculiar-looking clock. Jake cleared his throat. Cool shop." The man turned slowly, his sharp blue eyes locking onto Jake. "Welcome, young man. Looking for something special?" "I dunno," Jake shrugged. "Maybe more time." The old man grinned, his eyes twinkling like the stars. Time. Everyone wants more of it, but few understand its price." He reached under the counter and pulled out a small golden pocket watch. Its hands weren't moving. "This," the man said, holding it out, "is the Time Trader. With it, you can trade hours from your future for extra time today. Imagine, longer afternoons to play, endless weekends never having to say just 5 more minutes." Jake's mouth fell open. "Wait, seriously?" The old man nodded. "But be careful, my boy. Every trade has a cost." Jake barely heard the warning. His mind raced with possibilities. Extra time? Like actually extra? No more rushing? No more missing out? "I'll take it," he said eagerly. The man placed the watch in Jake's palm. "Simply twist the dial backward. But remember, the time you borrow must one day be returned." Jake barely listened. He was too excited. He gave the dial a sharp twist. The trade begins. The world shimmered. Everything around him slowed, and then, boom! Jake stumbled backward, suddenly feeling amazing. The clock on the wall hadn't moved. His feet felt lighter. Time wasn't running out. It was stretching, like a rubber band. He rushed outside, heart pounding. The sun, which should have been setting, hung frozen in the sky. Kids were still playing, the ice cream truck still circling the block, and best of all, he still had hours before bedtime. It was perfect. For weeks, Jake used the Time Trader every day. Extra hours to practice his skateboard tricks? Done. Longer afternoons to beat the hardest levels of his video game? Easy. More time to hang out with his friends before the streetlights flickered on? No problem. Jake was on top of the world, but then things started to change. One morning, Jake woke up feeling off. His legs felt sluggish, like he'd run a marathon in his sleep. His reflection in the mirror looked a little older. Was that a wrinkle? No. Impossible. At school, his best friend, Sam, stared at him. "Dude, you look weird, like tired weird." "Pfft," Jake scoffed. "I'm fine." But he wasn't. The more he traded, the stranger things became. His body ached. His energy drained faster than his phone battery. The worst part? His memories started getting foggy. He'd zone out in class, forgetting things he'd just learned. He'd miss moments, his mum's jokes at dinner, his dog wagging his tail when he got home. It was like pieces of his life were slipping away. One evening, as Jake sat alone in his room, flipping the pocket watch over in his hand, the truth hit him like a brick. The time he borrowed wasn't just extra, it was stolen from his future. Panic clawed at his chest. He had to fix this. He sprinted back to Tick-Tock Treasures, but when he reached the alleyway where the shop had been, it was gone. Only an old, rusted street sign remained, swinging in the wind. Jake's stomach dropped. His heartbeat pounded in his ears. "Mr. Timewell!" he called out. Nothing. No reply. Just the eerie sound of the wind. He gripped the pocket watch, twisting the dial forward desperately, hoping, praying, to return the stolen time. The watch trembled in his hands. The gears inside groaned. Then, suddenly, a pulse of golden light burst from the watch. The air crackled. Jake's head spun, his vision blurred, and, when he opened his eyes, he was back in his room. The clock on the wall ticked steadily. The exhaustion, the strange aches, all gone. Had it worked? Jake rushed downstairs. His mom was making pancakes. His dog, Buddy, wagged his tail excitedly. The smell of syrup filled the air. Everything was just normal. Jake exhaled, relief washing over him. He still had his time. No more shortcuts. No more borrowing from a future he hadn't lived yet. That day, he walked slower, laughed longer, and listened more. He had all the time he needed, because he had learned the most important lesson of all. Time is precious. Once it's gone, you can never get it back.